Okay, here I am. I'm going to do a quick video on Module 1, Lesson 7. These last couple lessons have all been about rounding. Okay, yes, I'm doing this on Saturday afternoon. Want to say hi, Abby?
Hi.
Okay, she's here for the lesson. So this is rounding multi-digit numbers to the thousands place using the vertical number line. All right, so let's just do some practice with that. Let's turn on the pen. So let's make sure. Here we go. All right. So let's start with if I give you the number 3,429, okay? And I want to round this number to the nearest thousand, okay? We're going to round to the nearest thousand. Okay, so when rounding to the nearest thousand, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my vertical number line. So my vertical number line, there I am. Okay, I need to put a number on the bottom and a number up on top as my two boundaries for I'm going to round this number either down low to this number or up high to this number. So how do I know what numbers I'm going to set as my boundary? Well, if I'm rounding to the nearest thousand, which is right here, okay, that's rounding to the nearest thousand, I have to go into my number and see where is my thousands place. That is my thousands place, the 3, okay? And what is the value of that 3? 3,000. That automatically becomes the bottom of my vertical number line, okay? It's when I estimate this number, it's either going to be 3,000 or what is my next 1,000. Okay, and these are the lessons where we said add another 1,000, add another 10,000, and so on. So if I have 3,000s, one more 1,000 is going to be 4,000. And this number is somewhere in between, all right? And this is where we're going to place our the midline, all right, or our midpoint. So in between 3,000 and 4,000 is 3,500. And we went over in class that the magic number when you're finding the midpoint is 5. Okay? Whenever you're right smack in the middle of two numbers on the number line, it's always going to have a 5 in it. So there's my 3,500. And all I have to do now is say, I'm going to take my 3,429 and say, is it going to be above my midpoint and be closer to 4,000? Or is it going to be below my midpoint and closer to 3,000? 3,429. Well, if it's 3,400, that has to be somewhere under my midpoint, meaning 3,000 is going to be my estimate. So 3,429 rounded to the nearest thousand will be 3,000. Okay. Now let's do another one where we are rounding, let's say, to the nearest 10,000. All right, let's go to next screen. So if I'm rounding, let's go 28,624. Just making that number up off the top of my head. Round to the nearest, let's go 10, to the nearest 10,000. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing my vertical number line, or if you have a printout, if you have the sheet, that's fine, the dry erase board. I'm going to put my midpoint and my two boundaries on the top and on the bottom. So I'm rounding to the nearest 10,000. A lot of kids in class were starting and saying, and we're putting, okay, this is going to be in between 28,000, and they had 29,000 up top. Okay. If that was you, what you were doing is you were rounding to the nearest 1,000. Okay. You weren't rounding to the nearest 10,000. So how do I round to the nearest 10,000? I go in and I see which digit is in my 10,000s place, and that's the 2. Okay, that 2 is in the 10,000s place. Okay, and this is where you have to know your place value. So I know I have my 1s, my 10s, my 100s, that's my 1000s, and this is my 10,000s. Okay, so you have to know your place values too. All right. If you don't, then that's something that you need to practice as well. Okay. So I have a 2 in the 10,000. So if I have two 10,000s, it means I have 10,000 and another 10,000. I have 20,000. So 20,000 is going to be the bottom of my vertical number line. And the top, if I have one more 10,000, if I had two 10,000s, I now have three 10,000s, which is 30,000. And what's in the middle as our midpoint? In between, well, you could think 20 and 30 would be 25, but we know it's 25,000. And now it's just a matter of placing this number, 28,624, on your number line. Is it going to be below the midpoint and get rounded to 20,000? Or is it going to fall above our midpoint and get rounded to 30,000? Well, 28, well, it's greater than 25,000s. So I know it's going to fall somewhere up here. It doesn't have to be exact. Well, it can't be exact. You just know that it's falling above the midpoint. So it's going to be closer to 30,000. So 28,624 rounded to the nearest 10,000 would be 30,000. Now, if the problem doesn't tell you what to round it to, like here it told you round to the nearest 10,000. If the problem doesn't tell you what to round it to, you can round to the thousands place if you want. You could round to the hundreds place. But if they don't tell you and they just say to round, just round to the greatest place value, which is all the way to the left. Okay, I'm going to cut it off right there. We also did go over one in the 100,000s. Okay, but it's the same steps that we just took here. Maybe I'll put out another video going over rounding to the nearest 100,000s. Okay, so that being said, I hope this helped. Give the channel a like, subscribe if you haven't already. All right, have a good rest of your Saturday.